how to make a man sexually addicted to you. I am Bonang Matheba, and honey, pull up a chair because I'm about to tell you the truth that changed everything for me and will change everything for you too. You clicked on this because the title promised you power, how to make a man sexually addicted to you. Good. I'm not here to waste your time with surface level tricks or text him this, ignore him for that games. I'm here to hand you the master key, the one I discovered after years ago in the back of a Maybach in Johannesburg, crying mascara onto a $10,000 dress, wondering why the richest, finest men on the continent still left me feeling empty. That night, I promised myself I would never again beg for a seat at a table I could build myself. And once I kept that promise, something wild happened. Men started begging for a seat at mine. Not just any men, the ones who have options, the ones who could snap their fingers and have a new woman tomorrow. They became addicted. Not to my body, though Lord knows we love that part too, but to the woman I became when I finally decided to love me first. Tonight, that woman is going to speak through me directly to you. So turn the volume up, silence the doubts, and let your big sister tell you how we turn the game all the way around. I grew up in Soweto in a little house so small you could hear my mother praying in the kitchen from my bedroom. We didn't have much, but we had pride, and pride, baby girl, is the first seed of real confidence. Still, when I stepped onto runways in Milan and Paris at 19, I felt like an imposter wearing borrowed glamour. I thought sexy was the dress, the angle of the hip, the red bottom clicking across marble floors. I was wrong. I learned the hard way on red carpets when photographers screamed my name, but the men I actually wanted still looked through me. One night in Cape Town, after hosting an award show in a Crystal Heels that cost more than most people's rent, I ended up alone in a penthouse suite ordering room service fries, scrolling through another man's Instagram story of some new girl. I looked at myself in that floor-to-ceiling mirror and said out loud, Bonang, if you don't become addicted to you, nobody else ever will. That was the turning point. Confidence isn't loud, it isn't the contour or the Brazilian butt lift or the Birkin. Confidence is quiet electricity. It's the way you sit in a room full of millionaires and still cross your legs like you own the building because in your mind you do. It's the slow smile when you already know the answer but you let him explain anyway because watching him feel smart around you is part of the fun. I started practicing in small ways. Walking into restaurants alone and enjoying my own company, saying no to invitations that didn't light me up, looking men dead in the eye without flinching, tipping myself first before I ever tipped a man with my time. And something shifted. Men started leaning in, conversations got deeper, touch lingered longer. I wasn't doing more, I was simply being more me, unapologetically, expensively, calmly me. That's when I understood the sexiest thing a woman can wear is the unshakable belief that she is already enough. When you walk in that energy, you don't chase desire. Desire chases you, and baby, it runs fast. Let me take you back to a few years to a private dinner in Lagos. I wore the simplest black slip dress, no jewelry except small diamond studs, hair in a low bun, almost understated. But I had spent the entire day doing the inner work, affirmations in the mirror, therapy session at noon, workout that made me feel like a goddess, phone call with my mum that reminded me where I came from and how far I'd come. I walked into that rooftop knowing exactly who I was. No phone in my hand, no nervous laughter, no scanning the room for validation. I ordered my own drink, laughed at my own jokes first, and when a certain Nigerian music mogul, you know, the one everybody wants, tried to pull the chair out for me, I smiled and said, I got it, baby, but thank you. Something in my voice, in the calm ownership of that tiny moment, made him pause. By the end of the night, he was practically begged to drive me home. That's the power I'm talking about. Real confidence isn't arrogance, it's alignment. It's the moment your outside finally matches the queen you've always been on the inside. I started treating myself like the main character, long baths, expensive candles, lingerie even when nobody was coming over, saying my own name in the mirror like it was holy. And every time I leveled up my self-love, men leveled up their pursuit. They started texting paragraphs instead of weird. They started planning whole trips just to spend 48 hours in my energy. And I once sent a helicopter because I mentioned I'd never seen Cape Town from the sky. Another flew in a chef from Paris because I said I missed a certain dessert. They weren't spoiling me, they were trying to keep up with the standard I had quietly set for myself. Confidence is the only currency that never crashes, darling. When you invest in it in yourself daily, the return is a kind of feminine power that makes men forget every other woman exists. And the crazy part? You won't even care if they do because you're too busy being obsessed with the woman in your mirror. That obsession is contagious, and once a man catches it, he's never the same. Now let's talk about the night everything clicked into place. I was dating a man who, on paper, had it all: looks, money, fame, the kind of passport stamps that make people gasp. But 6 months in, I could feel him pulling back. The text got shorter, the effort thinned. One night he cancelled on me last minute, again. Instead of blowing up his phone, which the old me would have done, I put on my favorite silk robe, poured a glass of vintage champagne, and took myself to dinner, alone. I sat at the bar of one of the hottest restaurants in Joburg, ordered the lobster, flirted with the sommelier because it amused me, and posted nothing. Around midnight, my phone started exploding, 20 missed calls, voice notes that went from casual to concerned to straight up desperate. When he finally reached me at 3 a.m., driving around the city looking for my car, he was in tears. Not because I punished him, but because for the first time he realized my world did not stop spinning when he stepped out of it. That night, he sat on my couch and told me things he had never told another soul. Fears about his legacy, pressure from his family, the emptiness behind the flash. I didn't try to fix him. I just listened, stroked his hand, let him feel safe. And right there, something shifted from physical to soul deep. From that night on, sex wasn't just sex anymore. It was reunion. Every touch carried gratitude. Every kiss tasted like relief. He later told me, "I'm not addicted to your body, B. I'm addicted to the way you make me feel like a man who's finally home." That, my love, is when I understood the most powerful foreplay doesn't happen in lingerie. It happens in moments of radical emotional safety. When a man can take off the mask the world demands and still feel like a king in your presence, you own a piece of his soul forever. And once a man gives you his soul, his body follows willingly, eagerly, obsessively, for as long as you decide to keep it. After that night of tears and truth on my couch, I noticed something dangerous starting to happen. He wanted to know everything about me. Where I was every second, who I was texting, what I was thinking, even when I was quiet. At first it felt like devotion, but I recognized the trap. When a man thinks he has the full blueprint of you, the chase dies, the electricity fades. I decided right then that if I wanted him to stay addicted for years, not months, I had to protect my mystery like it was platinum. So I started disappearing, not in a petty way, but in a way that made him feel the full weight of my absence. I'd go to Paris for Fashion Week and post exactly one picture, no location, no story, then silence for 48 hours. I'd turn my phone off on Sundays and spend the day at a secret vineyard with my girlfriends, coming back sun-kissed and quiet. I never explained where I'd been unless I felt like it. Suddenly his voice notes went from, "Hey beautiful," to, "Baby, where are you? I miss your energy. I can't think straight." I learned that mystery isn't about lying. It's about choosing what you reveal and when. I'd let him peel one layer, then pull back just enough for him to realize there were oceans underneath. I stopped answering every question fully. When he asked what I was doing, I'd say, "Falling in love with life. You'll see the pictures later," and leave it there. I kept entire worlds in my mind that he hadn't earned access to yet. The book I was secretly writing, the business I was building, the childhood stories that still made me cry in the shower. I gave him just enough to stay hungry, never enough to feel full. And baby, hunger is the secret ingredient to addiction. The less predictable I became, the more obsessed he grew. He started planning surprise trips just to catch me in my element. He learned my favorite flowers by heart because he never knew when I might vanish again. Mystery made him realize that knowing me was a privilege, not a right, and privileges have to be earned every single day. A woman who keeps a locked garden in her soul will have a man willing to tend the gate forever. One humid night in Miami, we were at a private villa party thrown by some rapper you definitely know. The place was packed with models in barely their bikinis, bottles popping, bodies everywhere. I was wearing a simple white linen shirt, sleeves rolled up, barefoot on the marble, laughing with the chef about something stupid. My man at the time walked past a dozen women throwing themselves at him and came straight to me, wrapped his arms around my waist from behind and whispered, "You let me open that jar of olives for you earlier and I still can't stop thinking about it." Everybody around us laughed, but he was dead serious. That tiny moment, me handing him a stubborn jar in the kitchen like it was the most natural thing in the world, had lit him up more than any lap dance ever could. That's when I fully understood. Men don't want to be worshipped every second. They want to be needed in ways that make them feel like men. Not fix my credit men, not pay all my bills men, though we love that too, but the kind of needed that strokes their soul. Let him carry the heavy bag even if you can do it yourself. Let him reach the top shelf. Let him explain the offside rule even if you know it better than he does. Let him protect you from the rain with his jacket while you secretly love getting a little wet. These small surrenders are actually power moves in disguise. Every time he gets to be your hero in some small way, his chest swells, his testosterone sings, and his attachment deepens. I started collecting these moments like diamonds, pretending my heels were killing me so he could massage my feet on a yacht at sunset, asking him to taste the sauce I was cooking because only your tongue knows if it's perfect, letting him navigate us through a foreign city even though my GPS was better. Each time I watched his eyes change, watched him stand taller, watched him look at me like I was the reason the sun came up. And in the bedroom, oh honey, when a man has spent the day feeling like your personal superhero, he makes love to you like he's trying to save the world one stroke at a time. Never underestimate the erotic power of letting a man be a man, because the strongest women know that true power sometimes looks like leaning back and saying, baby, I got it from here, but I love watching you do it better. The year I was the busiest of my life, hosting 3 television shows, launching my champagne brand and flying between 4 continents, I barely had time to breathe, let alone chase a man. And that, sisters, was the year they chased me the hardest. One sent his private jet to Cape Town because I said I had 8 hours between shoots. Another rearranged a whole tour schedules just to have dinner with me in Dubai. I wasn't playing hard to get, I was simply hard to get because my life was full without them. I had brunches with my girls that lasted until sunrise, dance classes that left me sore and glowing, boardroom meetings where I was the youngest and the sharpest voice, quiet mornings, writing in my journal with ocean views they didn't even know existed. My calendar was sacred and they had to book time like everybody else. That's the secret nobody tells you. The most irresistible woman in the room is the one who would be just as radiant if every man in it disappeared tomorrow. When your life is rich, colorful, purposeful, you stop performing for male attention and start auditioning men for a cameo in your already sold out show. I stopped canceling plans with myself to accommodate them. I stopped pausing my dreams to soothe their egos. I kept building, glowing, growing, and something magical happened. They started building pedestals trying to reach me. The footballer bought a house in my city just in case. The tech billionaire learned how to make my favorite childhood meal from my grandmother's recipe. The actor sent voice notes reciting poetry at 4 a.m. because he knew I was up editing. They weren't trying to own me. They were begging to belong to the world I had created without them. And in the rare moments we did share, the passion was nuclear because they knew my body wasn't their consolation prize. It was the VIP experience after they'd proven worthy of the life I was already living, beautifully living. A woman with a life too full for nonsense makes a man grateful for every second she chooses to share, and gratitude, my love, is the strongest aphrodisiac on earth. There was a man once, tall, handsome, passport, full of private jet stamps, the kind who gets photographed with presidents and posts watch collections that cost more than houses. We had been together almost 2 years, the kind of relationship magazines wanted to put on covers. One week he went ghost for 3 days, no explanation, just radio silence while he was working in Monaco. When he finally texted, "Hey stranger," like nothing happened, something in me snapped clean. I didn't argue, didn't send paragraphs, didn't cry. I simply got dressed, went to dinner with my best friends, posted one picture of my laughter and the caption, "Peace looks good on me," then blocked him on everything. 2 days later, he was on my doorstep with roses the size of umbrellas and actual tears in his eyes, begging to understand what he did wrong. I looked him dead in the face and said, "You forgot that access to me is a privilege, not a birthright." And I closed the door. People called me cold. My mother asked if I was sure. I had never been more sure of anything in my life. Because the moment I chose my self-respect over his comfort, I felt my value skyrocket in my own eyes, and that feeling is priceless. Within weeks, I signed the biggest deal of my career, walked Fashion Week in Paris, looking like money, feels, and slept like a baby every single night. He, on the other hand, spent months trying to get back in my energy, sending gifts, writing letters, pulling every stunt in the rich, and guilty know how to pull. I never responded. Not because I hated him, but because I finally loved me more. Self-respect isn't loud, it isn't dramatic, it's quiet steel. It's leaving the table when respect is no longer being served. It's walking away with your heels, clicking like a countdown he will never forget. And the craziest part? Every man who came after him treated me better from day one because the standard had been set in concrete. Disrespect me and you disappear from my universe. No negotiation. When a woman guards her peace like it's Fort Knox, the right man will fight wars to protect it, and the wrong ones will self-deport before they even get comfortable. Self-respect isn't punishment. It's the highest form of self-love, and it makes you sexually, emotionally, spiritually untouchable. Sometimes the deepest addiction comes from the smallest wounds you give. A man so small he doesn't even realize he's bleeding until he's miles away, still reaching for the bandage only you can provide. I call them velvet cuts, little moments of exquisite tension that lie rent-free in his mind forever. One night in Santorini, we were at a cliffside restaurant, sunset bleeding orange into the sea. A gorgeous Greek waiter complimented my dress. Nothing crazy, just polite. But I smiled a little too long, laughed a little too bright, let my fingers brush his when he poured my wine. My man sat across the table watching the whole thing, jaw tight, eyes dark. Later in the villa, he made love to me like the world was ending, like he needed to erase every man who had ever looked at me. The next morning, he admitted he had never felt jealousy that sharp, and it scared him how much he needed to be the only one who got that smile. Another time in New York, I wore red to an event he couldn't attend. I posted one mirror selfie, no caption, and let the internet do the rest. He called me from Tokyo at 3 a.m. in his time just to hear my voice, telling me the color red now ruined him for life. These weren't games. They were reminders that my light shines whether he's in the room or not. A velvet cut is when you compliment another man's watch in front of him, just sincere enough to be innocent, just lingering enough to sting. It's disappearing for 6 hours with your girlfriends and coming back glowing, smelling like new memories he wasn't part of. It's saying, I'm proud of you to someone else in a room full of people and letting him watch how easily my praise flows when it's earned. These tiny, elegant reminders that you are a whole universe, not a satellite, keep his heart in a delicious state of almost. He performs better, loves harder, stays obsessed because deep down he knows another man is one velvet smile away from trying to take his place, and the throne only has room for one. The woman who masters the art of making a man feel irreplaceable while reminding him he's not guaranteed is the woman he will move mountains to keep. By now he knew the rules. My mystery was sacred, my self-respect non-negotiable, my life too full to pause. So when we finally came together in the bedroom, it wasn't just sex, it was ceremony. Every kiss carried the weight of every moment I chose him when I didn't have to. Every touch remembered the nights I could have been anywhere else but chose his arms. I never rushed. I let the tension build for days, sometimes weeks, flirting in public with my eyes only, brushing past him in the kitchen without stopping, wearing his favorite perfume to events he wasn't invited to. When the door finally closed and the lights went low, I didn't perform, I revealed. I let him undress not just my body, but every layer we had built. The confident woman who walked red carpets alone, the mysterious one who disappeared into Paris sunsets, the self-respecting one who could leave in a heartbeat, the soft one who cried at old songs, the wild one who laughed too loud at 2 a.m. All of me, given freely because he had earned it, not because he demanded it. I whispered his name like prayer and let him whisper mine like confession. I looked him in the eyes longer than felt comfortable because eye contact after everything we had been through was its own kind of penetration. I told him exactly what felt good, not to instruct, but to invite him deeper into my pleasure, making him co-author of every shiver. There were nights we never made it past the hallway, nights we talked until sunrise, still tangled in sheets, nights we were slow and reverent like we were trying to memorize each other before one of us disappeared again. Every time was different because I was different, because my desire came from overflow, not emptiness. He once told me after voice hoarse, sheets wrecked, I don't just want you, I need the way only you make me feel alive. That, beautiful, is the difference between being wanted and being addictive. When the bedroom becomes the place where all the power you've cultivated outside of it finally unleashes. When sex is the celebration of the empire you've built within yourself, a man doesn't leave your body satisfied, he leaves your presence transformed. And transformation is the only high stronger than orgasm. The woman who brings her full, radiant, mysterious, self-respecting, full life self to the sheets doesn't just get loved, she gets worshipped. And worship, my love, is a habit men never break. Now here we are, you and me, at the end of the story and the beginning of your legend. Everything I poured into the last 9 chapters wasn't theory. It was the roadmap I walked barefoot over broken glass to draw for you. I've watched women take these exact keys, some of them starting from rock bottom, tears on the bathroom floor, heart in 1,000 pieces, and within months become the woman men write songs about. The one their mothers ask about, the one exes still Google at 2 a.m. years later. Because once you become her, the version who is confident without arrogance, mysterious without games, self-respecting without coldness, full of her own life, slow to give access, quick to walk away from disrespect, and on fire in the bedroom because her pleasure is sacred. Once you become that woman, you stop asking how to keep a man addicted. You start choosing which one gets to stay in your orbit. The power flips so completely that the question changes from will he choose me to is he worthy of the privilege of choosing me back? And that, baby girl, is freedom dressed in 6-inch heels. I need you to understand something with every cell in your body. The goal was never to trap a man. The goal was to become so undeniably, unapologetically you that the right man becomes terrified of a world that doesn't include you in it. When you do the inner work, when you heal the little girl who thought love meant shrinking, when you forgive yourself for the nights you begged, when you start speaking to yourself the way you wish a man would speak to you, something supernatural happens. Your energy rearranges rooms, your silence speaks louder than other women's screams, your standards stop feeling high, they start feeling natural. And the man who is meant for you doesn't have to be convinced, coerced, or cajoled. He arrives ready to rise to the occasion, grateful to be in the presence of a woman who finally knows her worth and isn't afraid to protect it. I want you to close your eyes right now and picture her, the future you, 6 months from today, a year from today. She walks slower because she knows the world adjusts to her pace. She smiles easier because the smile is for her first. She says no without explanation and yes only when her soul leaps. She has a passport full of stamps she paid for herself, a bank account that makes her feel safe, friendships that feel like home, and a bed that knows the difference between loneliness and chosen solitude. And when a man worthy of her steps into that life, he doesn't complete her, he complements her. Their sex isn't escape, it's homecoming. Their love isn't negotiation, it's celebration. He is addicted not because she played tricks, but because being near her feels like the safest and wildest place he has ever been. That woman is not a fantasy. She is your birthright waiting to be claimed. So here is your assignment and your blessing. Start today. Speak to yourself like a woman who is already adored beyond measure. Guard your peace like it's the rarest diamond. Build a life so rich that adding a man feels like adding caviar to an already perfect meal. Delicious, but never necessary. Protect your mystery, honor your standards, let him earn every layer, and when he does, reward him with the kind of passion that rewrites his DNA. Do this not to keep a man, but to keep you. Because the glorious truth is when you become addicted to your own becoming, the right man gets addicted to the privilege of witnessing it up close. I believe in you the way I once needed someone to believe in me. I see the queen already rising inside you, adjusting her crown, ready to walk into every room like she designed the building. Go be her. Go be undeniable. And when you catch yourself glowing in the mirror one random Tuesday thinking, damn, I really did that, come back here and tell me about it. I'll be waiting with champagne. If this spoke to your soul, do me a favor, hit subscribe, drop a comment with the one thing you're committing to today, like if you're ready to level up, and share this with every sister who deserves to know her power. We rise together, queens. See you in the next one.